Hello, my name is Malik Abbasdam. Welcome to PM Express. Last week by this time, the results of the 2016 presidential election had been declared. The victors celebrated. The vanquished were nursing their wounds. But the celebration hasn't gone quite well. There are those who say the celebrations were overboard and that the victors went on rampage in some instances and confiscated public property, and in other cases perpetrated violence against the vanquished. Are these allegations true? How can we avoid these things? When we come back from the break, I will introduce my guest, who is a security analyst, and then we can break down the issues and bring clarity to them. You're watching PM Express. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express. My name is Malik Abbasdam. My guest is none other than security analyst, our very own Mr. Kumsin. Captain, welcome to PM Express.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Captain, you followed all of these. Let me ask you first of all, are we seeing you in government?
Oh, please. No. I don't think so. No. I just came in to help. I'm a corporate guy.
Yes, I know that. Yeah. I know the work you did at UT.
Yeah, and I'm still doing my work on my own. I'm the CEO and MD of Nexus Consulting.
So we will see you in any advisory capacity in terms of security to the government?
I don't know. I just came in to help. That's all.
But you have the pedigree.
What,
are you lobbying?
You say so. It hasn't even crossed my mind. In fact, I've been asked and I've said, no, I'm not a politician and I don't want to get there.
Okay, let's go and listen to what happened when the results were declared and some celebrations, wild celebrations across the country, some of which were said to have gone overboard.
The MPP have been officially declared winners of the elections, and yet we are recording very worrying cases of violence by their supporters and activists across the entire country. As I speak to you now, the following incidents have been recorded in various parts of the country. An attack on Wofake, a popular actor who featured in most of NDC's campaign adverts. Attack and killing of NDC supporter at Dunkwanofing. The stabbing of an NDC youth activist at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. Attacks on party supporters at Chebi in the Eastern region and in different parts of the Ashanti and Northern regions. The burning of toll booths in Fiapre in the Brong-Ahafo region and the seizure of toll tickets and monies. Attack on the NDC communication officer in Sunyani West, who was forced out of his office at the National Health Insurance Secretariat. Illegally taking over the tourist center at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, forceful takeover of the jobs of caterers of school feeding programs perceived to be NDC supporters, the destruction of the offices of the municipal chief executive at Ejura in Ashanti region, harassing, severely beating and injuring many NDC supporters on our university campuses and other tertiary institutions and in our communities. We have many of them displaced from the schools that we have had to look for accommodation for. Many of them have been forced out of Kumasi. They are here in Accra, and we are taking care of them in hotels. Besieging and looting the warehouses and stores of NADMO in Tamale by hoodlums of the MPP. Raiding the head office of NADMO in Accra, chasing out the acting national coordinator, Brigadier Zanziri, and staff of NADMO at their offices, and subjecting the Brigadier General to searches by hoodlums. Barricading the offices of the YEA program headquarters in Accra. Violent attacks on the homes of several members of the NDC, including the West Legon residence of the national chairman of the NDC, myself, by demonstrators who were carrying and displaying displaying pictures of Nanado and the MP for that constituency, Honorable Ajaku. Cordoning off of the homes of individual artists and performers and some media personnel who are perceived as sympathizers of the NDC and preventing them from carrying out their normal duties. Shameful attack on Ms. Bell at midnight by suspected members of the MPP carrying assault rifles and a video camera and demanding that she apologize to Nanado for comments during the campaign. This dehumanizing experience has forced Ms. Bell to vacate her private residence and seek refuge elsewhere. Shameful attacks on the contractors and workers at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, popularly known as Ghana Dubai, has brought work to a standstill there. The pity of it all is the destruction of the colorful lights from the water fountain that flows to the admiration of all. And almost every NDC member cannot move peacefully now with our paraphernalia on our car. The security agencies are doing well for all intents and purposes to bring peace to bear on our society. That does not prevent us from cataloging and bringing to the attention of Ghanaians and the international communities that these are criminal acts and that they must be stopped. We need the media to support this call. And that's why we brought you here.
The churches, religious.
We need the churches. We need civil society. We need chiefs. We need even the pretenders to know today that an end must come to this violence. That if it happened in Sierra Leone, if it happened in Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, it can happen in Ghana. Unless we all make some concerted effort. Who said all die be die?
Good. Who said it?
Who called on the people in the MBB to pick Wamafu?
Thank you.
Is it NDC?
Power at all costs.
No, I mean, let's be serious, my friend. I've listed acts of violence, brigadiering, and killing. And you say that we are stage managing it. Respect us a little.
Thank you.
And the security agencies have been doing very well to bring peace to bear on this activity. But we want to say in very clear, unequivocal terms that anybody who tries it after 7 January will not have it easy with the NDC at all.
They should stop. I don't subscribe to that. It is not good for our country. We need a peaceful transition. So I'm surprised the NDC chairman also came out with such press conference. You know, we don't need that in this country.
Is it not because they feel pressured by the events that are unfolding, the season of toll booths and all of that?
Right. Yesterday, for instance, I went on air to condemn what the guys did at the toll booth. Apparently, one of the guys, worked with me, and I blasted him. If you go and do something like that, they think I am even part of it doing. But they think it's a revenge time in 2008, what they did. I don't subscribe to that. So I'm surprised the party chairman also came out to say that, NDC people should defend themselves. And, if he tries anything, I'll give one command, and you'll be the first person to go down. That one I assure him. He cannot, and I repeat, read my lips. Potofi, with all his guns he has in his farms at Esiakwa, to cross route, he goes down first.
We are on cases like what happened at Fiapre in the Brunhaf region, where some people went and bent down the toll booths. In that case, 2 persons have been arrested and have been put before court. The 2 have been granted bail. We are also talking about Sankore or Kukum, where some supporters also attack supporters of another party. And then in that case, 1 person has been arrested and he has been remanded in prison custody. Then we are also talking about a case in Chufupraso, where somebody is alleged to have attacked a member belonging to another political party and inflicting wounds on the person. Then there was a reprisal attack from the victim's party, and 3 persons involved in this case, the attack and the counter-attack, have been arrested and they have been put before court. All the 3 have been granted court bail pending further investigation. We have also arrested somebody, one Al-Hassan Ganamati Atta, in connection with the death of another person at Dunkonofin. So in all, I can say that about 8 persons have been arrested in connection with these incidents across the country, and we are looking for the others.
Now, we were told by the national chairman of the NDC, Kofi Potofi, that 1 person has actually died as a result of these attacks. Is the police aware of this? Is this true?
I am aware of about at least 1 person dying. I just mentioned the Dunkanofin incident, during which 1 person is alleged to have died. In fact, our information also is that another person has died in a different case. So yes, we are aware, and that is why it's music to the ears that somebody has been picked in connection with the Dunkanofin incident. One Al-Hassan Ganamati attack has been picked in connection with that case, and we are proceeding with the case so we get to its logical conclusion. We are not leaving any loose end untied. We are going to bring all the strands together as far as the incidents, attacks, and other things are concerned in connection with this election. We are not going to rest on our oars until we bring every perpetrator to book. I will caution restraint. If it isn't a case that the police are not doing anything about it, I've just enumerated a few cases to you and your listeners and the general public. And so I think it has got to their hearing also. I will advise caution, I'll advise restraint. It's not for them as a party to exact punishment. It is for the courts. And somebody may want to go their way only when the law enforcement agencies are not doing anything about their plight. But here's the case. We are doing a lot about it. 8 persons have been arrested, and we are going ahead to ensure that we bring every perpetrator to book. So if they try anything to go on rampage themselves, they will also be inflicting on the law, and the long arms of the law will catch up with them. So I will advise that they exercise maximum restraint and look up to the security services, and also assist us with the requisite information to enable us pick up perpetrators. Criminals are behind this attack. We are not looking for any political party doing whatever. It is not that which is triggering or which is necessitating police arrest or which is necessitating arrest. It is the act of criminality which is necessitating. So we are not looking at political colors.
Now, welcome back. You are watching PM Express. You just heard Public Director of the Ghana Police Service, Cephas Arthur. Before then, you heard the National Chairman of the NDC, the governing NDC, soon to be in opposition, Kofi Potofi. And then you heard Kennedy Ajapong. He is the MPP MP for Asin North. All of them bringing perspective to this issue. I still have with me Captain Budukomsen, security analyst. Captain, power is transient. You just watched the NDC, which has been in government for 8 years. You just watched the national chairman. There were other leaders of the NDC. And even though they are still technically still in power, they seem powerless.
They are not powerless. It is slipping away. It is that twilight, right? And people see it, and suddenly that same police force that seemed to be, in other people's opinion, biased towards NDC-connected criminals. I mean, when an NDC-connected criminal could do things with impunity and the police seem powerless, see that it's not shifting. And I was on set with, was it Adekoka?
Yes, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC.
And I warned him that it's somehow, it's unfortunate, but I'm happy he's seeing it. Well, it looks like the NPP or the opposition, others, have been crying this song for a long time. They've been crying that the police seems to be doing nothing and they are looking the other way when NDC, you said, what name did you use for the NPP guys? They said, not gurus, but
hoodlums.
Hoodlums. You know, took the law into their hands and they seemed to be paralyzed because their party was in power. It's not right.
But this is, Captain,
it's not right.
Captain, this is cyclical. Because I remember in 2007, 2006, 2007, 2008, when the NPP was in power, the NDC had similar complaints. In fact, when the Committee for Joint Action went on the streets, I remember Douglas Ekrofie-Siedu, ASP at the time, Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, actually charged. He
has a nickname called Charge.
Charge, yes. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
And the NDC has terrible complaints. They were beaten up, hot water was poured on them, they were tear gassed, and all of that. So it didn't quite start today.
But you remember the incident when Ochre Gabi Daku or something was also Gabi, beating up and
let my vote count.
Let my vote count. You remember, it's cyclical, and what does it tell us? It means there is a challenge in our system. There is a problem in our system, and I keep on complaining. Us in this part of the world, managers of institutions, all institutions, be it bank, companies, police, we tend to report problems. Whereas in other jurisdictions, we are supposed to solve problems. Now, if we are seeing that NDC 1, we had this problem, NPP 1 had this one, NDC 2, we had this one, what do? It means there is a problem which has to be addressed.
But why can't the NPP guys just celebrate in peace? Why are they taking over even state property? They are seizing toilets. Of course, toilets were seized in 2009 when the NDC won the elections.
And how long did they stay in these illegally seized assets? I was living in Tema at that time, Committee 18. How long? Was it hours? Was it days? Was it weeks? I'm not justifying it. You see, it's a very difficult topic to deal with. But we are human beings. I keep on saying that human beings, when you are managing human beings, why the human factor is the most complicated factor of production? Is that because it has feelings, it has emotions, and you have to be conscious of that to manage it. We are not light switches. You can command money to do this, and you can command money not to do it, and it will be inert. It won't do nothing. It will react according to you. But with a human being, you can command him, even with the authority to command him. He has his will to do it right or do it wrong, or do it lazily or do it effectively. Even with training, you understand? So the human factor is something that has to be addressed. We have this problem, and the problem is that we are not managing these extremes well.
Why are we not?
Because we have this tendency of reporting problems in this part of the world. If you've worked in other jurisdictions, you realize that as a manager, you think twice when you are going to a meeting, a management meeting, or a board meeting to report problems. My former boss in Germany told me that, Ben, if I had your specific knowledge and your time, I would never have employed you. You are supposed to solve the problem. You can come to me and discuss the issues, but the solution is yours. You have to at least start and tell me, I did this, I got here. You understand? We are reporting these cyclical problems. My question is, why? Then maybe there's something wrong with the police. Maybe there is something wrong with the handing over process. You understand? And we the managers, we the leaders of these people, having seen how painful it is if it happens to you, should start now addressing it, bringing out the legislation and talking the right thing to your people. Look, the same time, you see, these boys who are going on the rampage are also pressurizing their bosses that, look, they did this. Why are you people now telling us what to do?
Why is the NPP unable to rein in these people?
No, these are, I told you, these are human beings. I think the members of the party hierarchy have come out to issue statements.
Yes, John Boydu, General Secretary, the President-elect himself.
The President-elect himself, other senior managers in the party have been talking, right? So it's not like nobody is doing it, but like I said, these are human beings. There's pent-up emotion in there. There's this funny story about Choco.
Choco.
Choco. I understand some Choco here. Some NDC guru actually sees the toilet at that time and has terrorized the people in that area for all these years.
And he's a guru. He must be a big man.
Yeah, well, I didn't. What name did Kofi Potife use? The hoodlums.
Hoodlums.
But I wouldn't say he's a hoodlum. I mean, he's a party activist, right? And he managed this facility for about 8 years. Then the election was called. They said the MPP had won. And I understand that boys in that area gathered that now we are also going to teach this guy a lesson. They got there and he was already gone. So you see, it's on on the lighter side. But see, you get pent-up feelings. It is ours as leaders to start addressing this issue, addressing the legalistic part of it.
Failed.
No, it's a process. You see,
because it's 2008, this happened. 2016, 8 years down the line, it is happening. That's close to a decade. Nothing has happened. Nothing has changed.
We are failing. We haven't done well. We haven't done well. And the realization that it's a problem is in itself a solution process. Because someone told me, if you don't even people who were spraying cocoa plant in the bush were sacked. What has that poor guy got to do with NDC MPP politics? That guy might not even have voted.
Yes, because the mass cocoa spraying was introduced by Kufuor, and so the people who were recruited must have been MPP.
Yeah, but isn't it stupid? Because he's a Ghanaian. He was given a job. Was he given a job on a party card, or because he was a Ghanaian? You see, these are the rationalizations we have to stop. We have to stop this funny, and I would say stupid rationalizations. It covers up the problem so we don't solve it. Let's expose it. Let us realize that it's a bad situation, and both sides, when they go to Parliament, they've all gone through the heartache of campaigning, and they realize how it is, and they should start putting in processes to solve it. But we should start also educating our followers that this is wrong, and somewhere along the line we have to break the jinx. It has reduced from months to hours. You can't tell me that the magnitude of the violence now matches what we saw in 2009. You can't
so you
tell
think
me that.
there's some progress?
There is some progress, but slow progress. And it isn't even deliberate. We have to have a deliberate regime of educating our masses. That, look, that thing is that should, at one point in time, it should be a thing of the past. We can't live in this.
Captain, do you think the structure of our security services, especially the police, lends itself to the perpetuation of these kinds of violence? And by this I mean you have a police administration where the president, whoever the president is at whatever time, appoints the IGP. The IGP can transfer anyone anywhere at will without explaining to anyone. So when people take decisions, and at the regional level, the regional minister, who is a political appointee, is the head of the Regional Security Council. At the municipal level, the municipal chief executive is the head of the Municipal Security Council. At the district level, the DCE is head of the District Security Council. And even at the national level, the vice president formerly used to be the head of the police council. Yep. Now the president can appoint anyone as head of the police council. This structure itself places the politician above the professional. This politician, if he or she chooses, can be vindictive. How do you expect the policeman to deal with party foot soldiers who violate the law, knowing that the politician can bring the heavy hand on them?
Well, you see, you are describing a situation where people have been complaining about, and we've all been saying that the Constitution gives the executive just too much power. You understand? In fact, at the moment, we are advocating that this cycle where the next party comes, the next president or the next group comes, and the top echelon of all the security agencies are sacked.
Yes, everybody
even goes into the corporate world. You understand? So therefore, the people who are then appointed are beholden to their bosses. So even when they know that professionally, this thing I have to stop, if that thing is being caused by his boss, he looks and looks and looks and looks, and he's like a bit confused. We have to evolve to that place where the police chief, yes, you have to owe allegiance, and the
Elsewhere,
ultimate
they
power.
are even elected.
Go into the UK. Do you think in the UK the prime minister can harass the police people like that? I don't think so. I don't think in the US the president can harass the policemen like that. Look,
Even there.
Obama made a comment about a police sergeant. He thought he was racist. You remember that case?
Yes.
Obama had to eat his words, but
He had
actually
to
called
invite
that
the
sergeant
guy for beer.
for a beer.
Yeah.
When are we going to get there? My issue is that we see, we travel, and especially it's the ruling class that travels most. They see. A lot of them have lived in those jurisdictions. We come here and we do something different. Then you ask yourself, what happens to us when we get to Africa?
It's
What
not that
really
when you get the power, you enjoy manipulating everybody and...
Oh, yes, Alpha Power is sweet. Power is sweet, and everybody. So I wonder, when I came to Ghana when Rawlings was just about leaving power, right? The opposition was complaining that the constitution made the executive too powerful. You hear that? But did Kufuor do anything to change it?
No.
No.
He didn't.
And then the NDC was complaining during its time that they were also messing up and everything. Then Ejata came, plus John. Have they done anything to reduce the power of the executive? No. Now, Nana is coming. We hope at least an effort will be made to tinkle with it a bit. Start maybe elect these DCEs, elect the regional commissioner, the regional devolution. We should start diluting the center a little bit. The number of appointments this executive people have to do is just mind-boggling. And that's why they can hold sway over everybody. And to the extent that even the judiciary and the, the parliament, parliament?
The legislature.
The legislature, who are supposed to be independent arms, are independent to some extent, only on
have to be
paper.
appointed. Let me go onto the phone lines and talk to Dr. Franklin Baine. He's a security analyst also, to bring some perspective to this discussion. Doc, if you can hear me, good evening and welcome to PM Express. Dr. Baine, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Doc. Welcome,
okay.
Welcome, Doc.
Right, thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't know if you have followed the press conference called by the NDC's national chairman, Kofi Potofie, where he listed a number of attacks he alleged had been perpetrated against members of his party. And he said, whilst the party appreciated the efforts being made by the police, he was calling on members of the NDC to defend themselves. Why are the security agencies unable to protect citizens to the extent that citizens can contemplate taking actions to defend themselves?
Well, thank you very much, and also my greetings to well-wisher who listen to the program, and also the panel members who I was. I think you are the only one person as the panel, the captain, right?
Yes, please.
I appreciate his contribution. Now, if I may, what is happening right now, I've been following it myself, but I think right now where the situation is, we need to start looking and considering limiting escalation and de-escalation, okay? Because the police, by the Constitution, mandated to ensure that these very work is being controlled. But it looks like and actually remember, the police are not supposed to be using force, they must be diplomatic, but they are not seeming to be coming in. There are so many institutions that have been making steps, but you see, we need to remember that there is often a greater degree of direct violence, and both sides, that is, both sides, I'm referring to the parties, suffer heavy losses. In some cases, the conflict, becomes puerile. However, we need to always consider de-escalation, which involves changes in each of these adversaries, as well as new forms of interaction. That is why I consider we need to look at slowing down the escalation. Now, one way to avoid the dangers associated with escalation is to limit the extent to which the conflict, because as it's beginning, it's like a graph. It's gradually, these pockets of conflict is what really jump into escalation. So I believe and I foresee that the best thing is to start looking at the slowing down of the escalation. The police must be managing it and controlling, but when it gets to a point when the police will come in, but right now they need to be guided, they need to be managing, but we need to look at the, first of all, conflict limiting norms, which of course some of the institutions have taken the steps, and secondly, forums of the third parties which help members to resolve conflict. We see some of these things coming in the mediation service, arbitration, they are all coming. But again, we also look at the outside actors. Preventive diplomacy must be considered. Again, democratization can help the parties involved, which is NDC and that of the, the other part, MPP, so that they develop indeed a non-violent and just mechanism for the resolving of dispute that is arising.
There are those who say what these parties rather do is democratize violence.
Come again?
I said there are those who say these parties rather democratize violence.
There are those who said what? I don't get you
that
there.
These main parties, they rather democratize violence. Do you share that view?
Oh, what I'm saying is that the words I'm mentioning right now to your hearing are some of the suggestions I put across in slowing down the escalation. That's democratization can help parties to develop non-violent and just mechanism for resolving any dispute that arise. Now, these conflicts are arising, so we need to apply democratization. In addition, the fear of escalation can be important in limiting the extent to which the conflict escalates out of control. Indeed, conflict less likely to spiral when people are aware of the potential for such spirals and concerned about the consequences of escalation. So you see, we need to look at both sides and may make efforts to ensure the conflict does not escalate. This is where we need to look at. We need to look at every effort to avoid its escalation inadvertently. For example, there may be established rumor control teams or the rapid fact verification process to prevent rumors from developing and quickly spreading. This may also utilize escalating limiting languages to ensure that the statements made out of their grievances, like what Mr. Kopdov said, these grievances are making, it's rather escalating the situation. I am suggesting that in fact we have to look at these establishment of social bonds to tend to discourage the use of harsh tactics and reduce the likelihood of escalation, such as bonds including positive attitude, respect, friendship, kinship, perceived similarity, and common groups membership. You see, but the language that we are putting across now, rather, it's not slowing it down, but it's rather escalating in a very gradual, graphical manner.
Talking about rumors and the kind of language that is being used, there are those who say a lot of these attacks have been exaggerated, because in fact there is an instance where one of the persons who was cited in this case, in fact it was his images that emerged first, were for K. It turns out that story itself was not credible because it could not be verified. When we tried to check, it proved that the story was dodgy, which means it must have been cooked up. Do you share the view that these attacks have been exaggerated and some of them in fact fabricated for a certain political purpose?
Yeah, well, it goes left and right. You see, most of them, some of them may be exaggerated, some of them may not. But then we need to recognize one's opponent is a member of a group to which one also belongs, produces positive sentiment. And many know that the effective way to combat polarization, now we are leading to polarization, is to forge sentimental bonds between the two groups by making them feel they are part of the same larger group in this country, common members. So these are the things we need to look at very closely, so that we all, cross-cutting groups will produce bonds of perceived similarities and common groups identity between these individuals. That is referring to these parties that are existing, MPP and NDC. That is where the issue is. So the time has come that the process of humanization makes it more difficult to justify the use of heavy violence or aggression, and is therefore a powerful tool in limiting escalation. So work right now in our situation after election is we need to, whether units as political tool, we need to avoid and rather cut across and go into it and look at the humanization component and try to limit escalation at this point.
Dr. Bani, are the police paralyzed when crimes are committed in the name of politics?
Come again, did you say the police at what?
Are the police paralyzed whenever crimes are committed in the name of politics?
There shouldn't be. That shouldn't be the case.
But are they, given what you know, are they?
I'm lost. I'm not
Do
hearing
you
you.
sense a certain paralysis? Given where you said, do you sense a certain paralysis in terms of police action when criminal acts are committed in the name of politics?
Not quite. You see, I think the law is clear in terms of we have political laws that guide it and after pre-election, during election, after election. But what I have come to realize is that when we are entering into election in this country, observation I have made is that we tend to do a lot of education for the pre-conditions and the during conditions, but we seem not to talk much about that of post. So when things begin to erupt like this, begin to shiver us. Now the police is mandated by the constitution of this country to, ensure that they implement or, ensure that they put the law into action. But they also have a role. They are not to cause confusion. They are not trained to work. They are rather to work. They are peacemakers. So I believe the police are always using diplomatic principles and all the training that so they ensure that the point will come when they have to apply their full rigors of as we call it false. But if they jump in and go the way that we out there we think, then it will be another thing altogether. But the police are watching. But I believe that they also have to be very much awake. They shouldn't be complacent. They must be on the ground. We have so many approaches of intelligence. Right now, this is the moment they have to apply the intelligence or approaches together and to be established. When they step into act, nobody will have any complaint. But right now, it looks like they are relaxed. But then I don't see them to be relaxed.
Dr. Bandi, thank you. Thank you very much for your contribution to this discussion. Thank you. Let me talk to Captain Kumsin. Captain, let me ask you the same question.
Yes.
Do you sense a certain paralysis on the part of the police whenever political actors breach the law?
I think so, to some extent. You see, for the sake of not escalating already what is happening out there in the society, you are careful not to make comparisons, not to put people back. But just one or two examples to buttress this suspicion. Do you remember the name of one Naba? Is it was supposed to be the cousin of Collins Dowda?
Yes.
In the Bonga-Hafu region.
I've read today that he apologized and said.
Yes, I heard a voice clip. And I was really surprised. But it's good. But you heard the name.
Yes.
And this guy's exploit. He was a terror in that area. What do you call it? In some area, Asunafo North, Asunafo South, Asutifi North, Asutifi South, Tano North. This guy was an authority on him to extend that he even made a voice clip boasting that for him can kill anybody and nobody will do anything. And he was a terror in the area for years, not weeks, years, more than 8 years. Question was the police absent?
Okay, I have my own example, but we have to take a break. When we come back, I will cite my own example, and then Captain can bring clarity to this in addition to the one he's talking about, Collins Dowda's brother, who was alleged to be bragging about his ability and capacity to unleash terror on anyone he disagreed with. You are watching PM Express. We will be back. You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express. My guest is Captain Budu Kumsin. We are talking post-election violence and the confiscation of state property and some young men taking the law into their own hands. Before we went on the break, Captain, you were citing the example of Collins Dowda's brother, who only today kind of apologized and said the comments were political bravado and all of that. This week, some MPP young men, the invisible forces, or is it invincible forces, went to Tema, the Ashaman toll booth, and took it. Whatever monies were being, they seized everything. And they had the guts to tell journalists that they did that. They seized the money because they had been told that the people working there were pocketing the money because the results had been declared and the NDC had lost. So they went there and seized the money. So the police got there and they returned everything to the police to hand over to the people. And Efia Tenge, who speaks for the Tema police, said, oh, well, we didn't arrest them because we didn't want to escalate matters.
I remember
This is lawlessness.
Yes.
Why were they not arrested?
Yes. I remember I even asked the police officer this same question. Said they masked up, right? And they marched there. You saw it coming. So what did the police do? I know that your special branch or CID or detectives, they can filter out, smell out information before things happen. So what happened? Is it that their systems have broken down, they're paralyzed, or they are no longer doing what is supposed to be when we were young? I don't know. But I asked the same question. So why were no arrests? Maybe it's the police tactics to diffuse the system and said they don't want to escalate the situation. Maybe. But to the extent that someone could even make a press conference. But then even the party hierarchy came out and said, arrest them. You see, sometimes you have to show an example to discourage the others.
Are you sure if these people were arrested, the same party leaders won't go and ask that they should be freed?
Look, if they are arrested and they are kept there until they are bailed, I will tell you, if 10 incidents like this were going to happen, it will reduce to about 5.
The police said if arrested 8
people. No, I mean incidents, not people being arrested. If people, some of them had been arrested, if 10 incidents were going to happen, it would have reduced it to 5. The appetite to do it, some of those faint-hearted will be discouraged. That is the starting point. You have to start. You just don't throw your hands up and say, even if you do it, I don't want it. No.
Do we have a timid police service?
You and I, we have contributed to their character now. From the big men, so-called big men, do you know who I am? They do it to the policemen. If you've got a brother who's a policeman, he will tell you. They do it to them. We are all guilty of it. So, and then we come and complain.
So have we set up a system to fail?
No, we've got some of the finest laws, but when it comes to the human element, the human factor, that's what I'm talking about.
It's not the law, it's the system. The system is not just the law. The system are the people and the processes.
Yes,
Do we set up the system to fail?
Well, to some extent, I would say yes, because if somebody appoints all of them and has the power to sack all of them, and if this thing, do you know who I am syndrome is not taken away, then yes. We have to start. You see, I said the starting point is the recognition of the problem. And not stop there, but go further to put in measures that can correct it. And I keep on saying that we are also a very impatient people. We don't like processes. We don't have the patience to see things through. The situation is a bad situation. And we wish tomorrow it has vanished. Things don't vanish in nature like that. It is not. It is going to take some effort. But we should every day try to reduce the incidence of it and count our successes to encourage us to do more. You know, so we haven't, the system maybe has been set up to make it very difficult to make it function, right?
That's a very secular response. The system has been set up to make it very difficult for it not to function efficiently.
To make it very difficult to function efficiently, right?
When Kofi Potofie, the NDC national chairman, says, look, the police are not sufficiently protecting our people, so I am calling on our people to defend themselves. He's justified, isn't he?
You see, it's wrong. You see, I think it was, one, he chose a specific date. Why after 7th of January? I'm at a loss. Maybe you can explain to me. It should be now. We should stop. Don't set a date. It should be now. It should stop.
Well, he's thinking that those who won and are excited, the excitement would have died down by the time the inauguration is done. Well, if afterwards the attacks are still happening, then
mercifully that's a short period. So hopefully by that time, if it has died down, then we'll be happy. But then yes, the police should also get up and do what is right. You know, but the thing is that I was making a funny example. It's just like the devil complaining to God that you see what the human beings are doing to me. Where were they when these things were happening? Not to justify it. You understand?
But
so let us recognize. No, that is why I say it's quite a very difficult topic to handle. It's quite a difficult, because I started the case of Naba. They looked the other way for a long time. You understand? Some of the actions the things they themselves are talking about are not lending to the de-escalation of this thing, because some of the allegations, the police has come out to say that it's not true. And that is one of the ways to de-escalate. Rumor, clarification, you take it out. Other people's emotions. Look, let us go back towards the election period. We were all speculating about, oh, and they are going to stuff the boxes and the EC is going to do it. But you realize the way the EC managed the voting day, the process, they were out there, sometimes even proactively putting information out there.
Yes,
and as soon as there was information, they will come and diffuse it. Tell us the true story. So you realize that day one was, we were all pleasantly surprised. They managed us. That is one aspect of it. We have to manage these informations by clarifying the situation very fast. And if it is true, the police acting hard to say that, look, this happened, but we've caught one or two of the ringleaders. You understand? To send an example into the system. Peace initiatives, the people are there. I mean, they are all supposed to help. Ghanaians, we like going to church, the mosque and the church every time they are full. So the pastors also have something to do. You know, civil society, our language, the language we ourselves we use, especially when you are in leadership position. You see, here you are, you have your foot soldiers, or so-called your supporters. They are angry. They feel bastardized or maltreated over years. Now they also want to, you know, go on the rampage, and now you are telling them not to go. If you're a weak leader and you fear their reaction, you let them go. That's why a leader has to be strong. A leader has to be able to stare his people down. Leader, it's quite lonely.
Some will say the victors who have won the elections,
so
there should be those who appreciate that those who have lost are in pain. So don't inflict more pain on them.
Oh, yeah, that is it. You see, that is when a human being is behaving like a robot, yes. But they are human beings. You have to manage them, their feelings and all these things. They are not light switches. But yes, and I think they are doing it. I mean, the party hierarchy, they've spoken. You saw Canadian Japan also condemning it. Everybody
but he was issuing threats. He said if he was telling...
Yeah, we are all not peace experts. Right now we are managing it as best as we can. But you see, we have to manage, because if they themselves are also citing instances that are not true. For instance, the Ejisu grabbing incident. The police came out to say that no, they have no knowledge. It's not true. You see, you throw out these things so that when next time you even say the right thing, people may doubt. Look, it's happening on both sides, and I'm not saying it's right. Because
the president actually said that when the president inaugurated the transition team at the International Conference Center, he talked about attacks on NDC, but then added that, to be fair, some MPP people have also been attacked. And he said it's all wrong.
It's all wrong. What else can he do? And I understand, when the security agencies, I think the police, they went to visit him, he told them and admonished them that carry out your mandate without fear or favor. Didn't he say?
About the president-elect?
Yeah, the president-elect. The president-elect.
Okay.
The president-elect, because now the allegation is his supporters are perpetrating these things. He said, be professional. Don't look backwards over your shoulder at me. Be professional. Do what you are supposed to do. If you caught my son doing it, hard luck. I may come and bail him, but the few minutes of trauma he will experience with you may discourage him from misbehaving the next time. You know, so in that sense, we have to encourage them. And also, yeah, in the encouragement, tell them to do the right thing. And don't intervene or punish the police people when they are doing the right thing. At the moment, they are used to being victimized if they did the right thing. So he paralyzed them. They will have to grow out of their paralysis and their fear.
You have experienced elections elsewhere.
Yeah.
Why can't we just vote quietly?
Yeah, you see, it's just like trying to copy a system, lock, stock, and barrel, bam, and bring it somewhere. That system working there is based on some strong fundamentals foundation. They have grown over years to reach that stage. Unfortunately, this is where we are. Let us take the good sides and try to imbibe it or copy it gradually. Look, human beings, I keep on saying, are not light switches. We have to manage the growth, but manage it and push it as fast as we can. If you push it too fast, it can even break. It's just like straightening a tree. You understand? Unfortunately, that is who we are.
I'm not sure I'm getting a direct answer to my question, Captain. Why can't we just go vote and go home? When the results are declared, life goes on.
It's a puzzle. Why can't we? Because I have seen, if you live outside, if they are voting in Germany or in Austria or in the UK, if you are not careful, you will even not know that just the next block, 2 blocks away, that's a polling station. Nobody cares. You go vote and you go. You see, the question is it looks like a simple question. Why? Why aren't we not in? Because our fundament is wrong. We have this inbuilt winner takes all syndrome. You understand? The winner takes all. Everybody knows that. For us, it's a do or die situation. And we've got a lot of poverty in this area. So it really affects us.
But there's no power sharing in the UK or US or anyhow, or in Germany. There's no power sharing.
No,
so winner takes all.
When the Prime Minister wins power, his wife does not get on some funny contracts. In fact, the Prime Minister is very careful that the family members don't even get involved in public business. What do we see here? When you get power, this is the time your family members are supposed to meddle maximum in public business, with impunity. From the wife to the brothers to the cousins to the children to the grandchildren. And we do it. So I'm saying our fundamental.
But there are laws against it. Why don't we just...
Is there a law against any president's wife having a contract in Ghana here?
Oh, there are rules governing conflict of interest and all of that.
All right. there are rules. And again, why are the rules not working? It's because of the people who are implementing the rules. So it comes back to the human being. Let us see. I am telling you, Ghana is not going to stop this thing.
Just a few seconds.
Okay. Ghana is not going to stop this thing in 1 week. It is going to take us some time. Let us tell ourselves the truth in the face.
So our elections will continue to look like war.
The next election, having seen the pain all of us are going through, should be better than this one. Should be better. Otherwise, it means we are stupid. We don't learn. We are idiots.
Thank you, Captain Budu Kumsin.
You're welcome.
Captain Budu Kumsin is a security analyst. He's one of the men doing great work at UT. My name is Malik Abbas Dabu. You've been watching PM Express. God willing, we will bring you another exciting edition of PM Express. Until then, bye-bye.